Hey everybody, welcome back to In Bed with the Millennial. I'm the Millennial Javeda Bay, and this is my bed. And it's still anal August, which means I'm talking all about butt stuff. And today I want to talk about anal training because if you talk to anybody during this month and you're like, I want to get started with anal stuff, where do I begin? They're more than likely, they definitely should tell you to start with anal training. So let's get into it. First things first, Javed, what's anal training? Well, anal training is the act of training your anus muscles to be ready and able and prepared for anal play of all types, but specifically penetrative anal play. And that can be fingering, that can be butt plugs, that could be penetrative sex with a dildo or an actual penis, whatever it looks like. But it requires working your way up because the anus is a muscle. Your sphincters are muscles that need to be relaxed in order for penetrative play to happen in a pleasurable way rather than a painful way. And so, how do you anal train? First things first, I recommend anal training yourself. It is a lot easier to take things as you go and not feel rushed if you are doing it by your lonesome. But you could also anal train with a partner. And the way you start is with these. You start with your fingers. And the reason I recommend doing it on yourself is because your fingers are like, they go along with like your body size. So in my case, anal training with like these fingers makes a lot more sense than anal training with my partner's fingers, who is a 6 foot plus male and has really thick fingers. Probably not where I want to start out. So starting with your fingers is a good place because your fingers are typically smaller than most toys you would buy to start out with. So I recommend starting with your fingers. So you need your lube because, as a reminder, the anus is not self-lubricating. So you need lube and lots of it. Don't think that like one little pump is going to do you. No, baby, keep that bottle right next to you the entire experience and apply more lube as needed. But start off with one finger. Just like massage the outside of your anus to like get your body like prepared and like in a state for some type of sexual activity. I would not just jam it on in there. No. Treat yourself. Give yourself the same luxury that you would want a partner to give to you. So let the arousal build, get yourself in the mood, and then start. But start off with one finger. So massaging the outside of the anus, and as you get more relaxed, then you can work your finger in. And while it's in there, you can like twirl it around to like really like loosen up the sphincter muscle. Go back and forth to actually get used to like thrusting motions and things of that nature. But you're gonna do this until you feel comfortable and relaxed, and your sphincters don't feel like they're super tight and closed. And after that, guess what? You can move to 2 fingers. And you can keep introducing fingers as you like. I typically recommend going up to as many fingers that give you similar girth to like the butt plug you may want to move to, because a lot of people typically after anal training with their fingers, they move on to toys to get more girthier toys in the mix. So moving up to 3 or 4 fingers, depending on how big your fingers are, to get used to the size of butt plugs that you may move into in your next stage of anal training is really good. But from there, you move on to toys. Once you're like, okay, I've maxed out on all my fingers and I'm not really yet ready for fisting yet, don't worry, we'll talk about fisting at a later date. Yeah, so you move to toys and you can start with things like anal beads or butt plugs. Butt plugs typically come, you can get sets for anal training. So I recommend that if you are someone that's like, I want to do this, but I'm going to take my time. And that way you don't have to repeatedly go to the store or shop online to get a whole new different size butt plug once you've like trained yourself for the one that you previously had. So getting a set lets you work your way up from like smaller ones to medium to large and things of that nature. And then you also have anal beads, which are really good. And I recommend anal beads for anal training if you are working your way up to have penetrative anal sex. And this is specifically because anal beads have more length to them typically, whereas butt plugs are short and they only go a certain length inside of the anus. But if you were going to have penetrative sex, you kind of want to be prepared for what it's going to feel like to have something deeper inside of you. So if that's your goal, anal beads is a great way to train for that, because you're like, oh, okay, this is what things feel like when they go deeper inside my body. Also, it helps you understand what positions feel better for things that are going to penetrate deeper. So yeah, as you're anal training, you can either move to butt plugs or anal beads, and they come in a variety of different sizes, a lot of different girths. You can get anal beads that start off small and like go up gradually in larger sizes. You can get ones that are all the same size, but they are much longer, so that you can get used to the depth of penetration. And then once you are like, okay, I have my anus like relaxed and ready to do this, continue to do it. It's not just a one-time thing. Don't think that the first time you anal train and you get there and you're like, yes, I hit my like gold butt plug after like 5 days, like I'm feeling good, I'm a pro at anal sex, I don't have to do anything else. No, 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 no. You have to anal train before all types of anal activity for the rest of your life. Unless you somehow break your sphincter muscles and they never close back up, which if that were the case, please go see a doctor. You will always have to anal train because it's a muscle. It's going to snap back to being tight. So yes, you will always be anal training. I always recommend it before any type of anal play, especially penetrative play, even if you have had anal sex with previous partners for years and years, but then you took like a 2-year sabbatical from anal play and now you're getting back into it. Your body has essentially reset, so you can't just jump back into penetrative anal sex because you gotta anal train again. So do it, but don't think of it as a chore. I feel like because it has the word train in it, you instantly think of like a gym session. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be like an exploration session. Take it and just be like, hey, I want to see what anal positions actually feel good to me while anal training. So use that time to explore doggy style, doing it in anal training in front of a mirror, whatever it may look like for you. Explore. Don't think that, okay, this is just like a workout session for my butt. It doesn't have to be that. It can be a pleasure session for your butt, because it's your magical phalanges and you. So enjoy it for what it is. Don't think that it has to be like this strenuous activity. Yes, there is a goal in mind, but you can enjoy the journey on the way to the goal. Okay? Okay. But yeah, so when it comes to anal training, please always remember lube, 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 lube. So much lube. Start with your fingers. Start with fingers. Do not instantly run to toys. Like, get used to something actually penetrating you that's not a toy, and I recommend that being your fingers always. Or if you're working with a partner, your partner's fingers. And in the sense of actually anal training with a partner, communicate. Please be so vocal. Be like, hey, actually, I think you need more lube, or give me a second, let me take some deep breaths. I feel like I'm getting a little bit more like tense. Let me just like relax a little bit. Communicate. It is a process of communication because typically most of us are not fully aware of what's happening with our butts unless we're like trying to take a massive dunk. So make sure you're communicating. Be like, hey, actually right now that doesn't feel really good. Go back to what you were doing before. Like, oh, I think I was a little ambitious. Go back to just one finger. Communicate if you are anal training with a partner. And of course, like, hygiene is extremely important with anal training. If you're by yourself, obviously like do as you would with a partner, but like washing your hands, you, a partner, anybody touching your butt, always important. If you are worried about fecal matter being in the mix, cleaning your anus, that is like regularly, like how you would shower. And then additionally, douching, which if you are not sure how to douche, check out my blog and the Instagram. I will be resharing content all about douching over the next couple of days. But yeah, douching is a great way to clear out the anus of fecal matter, to give you a little bit more confidence and peace of mind in knowing that poop may not magically appear. But also, if you're like, I'm still worried about it, Gervais, I know I did all those things, latex gloves. I generally, if you go to a sex shop, you'll probably see like black latex gloves. They're typically used for like kink and BDSM, but latex gloves are a great way to have a little bit more peace of mind that you don't have to worry about like fecal matter getting onto your hands. It'll end up on a glove. So using latex gloves or finger cots are also a really great way to anal train without having to necessarily worry about what's going to end up on your hands. Or if you're just like, I don't want to be covered in lube, using latex gloves and finger cots are a great way to minimize lube getting all over everything, because lube does get everywhere, especially silicone. So use latex gloves and finger cots. But yeah, so making sure that you cover the hygiene bases before you actually get into anal training is extremely important. And taking your time. I know a lot of people, like, you may schedule anal sex and you're like, cool, we're gonna have anal sex on the 17th and it's gonna be amazing because we're gonna do it right after we go to Gervais' workshop on how to eat ass. If you haven't registered, go register. Sure, you might set a deadline to when you want to do it, but anal training takes time. Your body does what it wants to do, how it wants to do it. So don't feel like you have to rush through anal training. You can take a full day and just only use one finger. That's all that you've put into your anus is one finger. And that's okay. That's good. You did great. I'm proud of you. So yeah, take your time. But yeah, if you haven't already, make sure you register for my ass eating workshop on August 17th. It's virtual, so you don't have to go nowhere except for be in the comfort of your own home. The link is in my Instagram and bio, or it is dropped in the description of this video. And then make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel, because why would you not be? And make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok, because all different types of content on all of those platforms. So you never miss anything and you have all the information you could ever dream of. And you're subscribed to my email newsletter, because why would you not be? But yeah, until then, I'm going to see you later. Deuces.